Welcome back to WB Mason Presents the Joe Girardi Show. It's Hall of Fame weekend. 6 men being inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Joe, you know some of these men very well. It's Joe Torre, Tony La Russa, Bobby Cox, Frank Thomas, Greg Maddux, and Tom Glavine. I have to start with Joe Torre. You played under him. You succeeded him as the manager of the Yankees. First of all, how excited are you for him? Second of all, what did you learn from him?
Extremely excited. It's so well-deserving. And what Joe did here in his tenure and what he did as a player was simply amazing. And, you know, the things that you learn from Joe Torre, I mean, he just handles situations so well. When you're struggling, he handled it so well. Situations where players, you know, their parents were sick or Joe was sick, he was great at handling people and getting the most out of him. And I took a lot from that and tried to pay attention. And the other thing I would do, I'd sit next to him when I wasn't playing, him and Zim, and pick their brains about the game.
When you were at a banquet or something like that and someone said to you, hey, Joe, tell me your best Joe Torre story. Do you have one? Do you have one that really stands out for you, something that he did or something that you learned from him that you said, wow, I can't believe that he did that?
Well, I think the story that probably is the most amazing story. We lost the first 2 games to the Braves in the 1996 World Series. We got pounded. I mean, Andy Pettitte, I think with that first game we lost like 14-1, and then we lost to Greg Maddux 4-1. And George came in and Joe's office said, well, what are you going to do? And Joe said, well listen, we're going to go down to Atlanta. We're going to win 3 in a row because that's my town and that's where I manage. And then we're going to come back and win it at home. And I'm sure George was just shaking his head, but Joe had a belief in the team and had a way of just keeping a calm influence in the clubhouse and making sure the clubhouse, because the clubhouse in New York can kind of get a little riled up at times, and that's the way it is here, but he was great. And he helped us to relax, and he said, just go win 1 game, don't embarrass yourselves. Won that first game, we won the second one. Andy Pettitte beats John Smoltz 1-0, and lo and behold, Joe was right. We ran 1-3 in Atlanta, and then we won the next game in New York.
With all of that he did strategy-wise on the field, very important. But do you think what you just described was his greatest strength as a manager, that soothing quality that he had?
I mean, he had a calming influence. And Joe had the way of making you feel, as a team and an individual, everything was going to be okay as long as we worked hard and we stuck together. And that's a great quality that he had, and I'll never forget that.
You also played for Tony La Russa. What are your observations about La Russa as a manager?
Just a great tactician. I'm very thankful for my 1 year with Tony, because I think sometimes when you're an opposing player, you don't understand a man. And I had a chance to play under him and really enjoyed my time. And he was so good to me. He would say, what would you do in this situation? Or why do you think I did this in this situation? Because he knew that I wanted to manage. And he would present scenarios to me. And I was very thankful and was really glad, even though I was hurt most of the year, I got a chance to play under him.
Now, you didn't play for Bobby Cox, but you played against them.
Yes,
the Yankees
a lot.
And the Braves a lot. From across the dugout, what did you think about Cox?
Great manager. Did a great job with his clubs and was in the postseason all the time. And Bobby was really nice to me. The 1 year I got to go to the All-Star game because 3 catchers got hurt, and I was next in line. So I wasn't first. I wouldn't say I was about 5th or 6th, but I didn't get in. I was not upset at all. I mean, I understood you got to save a catcher, and I was the last guy, you know, chosen. I didn't get there even until Monday. But he gave me the lineup cards. And I'll never forget that by Bobby. He said, I'm sorry I didn't get you in, but I want to give you these. And I'll never forget that.
Now, you also interacted with the players who were getting in. In fact, Greg Maddux, you had maybe one of the biggest hits in your career, maybe the biggest hit ever against Greg Maddux. Tell me about that at-bat.
Well, I thought actually Joe was going to give me the safety squeeze because I had done it so many times. But I knew Greg was aggressive. You know, he had a great moving fastball, and he happened to throw me a fastball that was probably not as well located as 99% of the fastball he threw in his career, and I hit it over Marquise Grissom's head, who was playing in, but obviously the biggest hit in my career. But I had a chance to catch Greg when I was younger, and just a great student of the game, competitive in everything that he did, whether it was video games, golf, cards. The guy wanted to win at everything, and that's what I think made him a great pitcher. And you know, when he came up with that cutter, he became a different guy and a dominant pitcher. And I mean, here was a guy, you really never had to move your mitt. He made it pretty simple. And in the meetings before you went over hitters, you know, before a series, he'd be great, instrumental in helping you. And I would look to him at times like, what do I do here? And he was great.
I should mention, by the way, that hit was the decisive game of the 1996 World Series, for those who might not remember. Quick bullet points on Tom Glavine and also Frank Thomas.
Yeah, Tom Glavine, amazing control. could throw it wherever he wanted. And when you used to face the Braves, you knew they weren't going to give you anything. They weren't going to walk people. They weren't going to give you much to hit. And Tom Glavine was the ultimate competitor as well. I can imagine the golf games that Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox had down in Atlanta when they weren't playing. But just a great pitcher and knew how to get it done. And Frank Thomas, a feared hitter. Physically imposing when he came to the plate, obviously. A football player at Auburn and a baseball player. But you know, he could hit the ball out to right center at any point he wanted, and that made it difficult. And he used to stand way away from the plate and want to get his arms extended, and had a great eye, too. So he was a really tough out, and he's well-deserving as well.